and welcome to the Thoughtful Advocate podcast. When I first got married, everyone told me, oh, your relationship's gonna change. They were right if they meant like we were stronger and more connected once we got married. I feel like it strengthened our relationship. But for some people, living together you can really see each other's true colors. What really changed everything was having kids. Having kids presents new challenges, and I feel like this needs to be talked about more because having kids will really change everything. And if your relationship isn't built on a strong foundation, it really could just crumble right there. So when you're first having a baby, the first 4 months for us were the hardest. And it gets harder because you just don't have time to date or do things you used to do together. This is so common for everyone who's had babies. We just don't talk about it because everyone wants to pretend that their marriage is perfect and they don't want to talk about things that were hard for them. So yeah, if you're in the same position and you were wondering if something's wrong with your relationship once you had a baby, like why don't we go on dates anymore? I feel like the focus is all on the baby, which first 4 months, that's really where it should be. The first 4 months with their first child is definitely a huge learning curve. So yeah, if you're questioning your relationship, you're not alone. So many other couples go through this. If you type in on Google marriage after babies or marriage after kids, you'll see so many articles stating psychology facts. Yes, marriage does take a turn after having children. And if you don't work on your relationship while you have the child, then it really could just crumble right. So it's really about open communication, trial and error, and just learning how to be parents while being in a relationship. John and I have been together for almost 11 years now. It'll be 11 years in March. And we've been married 3 out of those 11 years. And honestly, like I couldn't ask for more. Marriage really strengthened our bond because we were no longer fighting over not seeing each other enough or miscommunication, which happens over text or phone calls. I was with Telus and my phone reception kept getting cut off. So that did not help at all when we were having quarrels or arguments, which we resolved. I think that having arguments in a relationship is completely normal. If you don't have one, then I think something's wrong. Maybe you're not spending enough time together, or maybe you're just avoidant of that. And I don't think that's healthy. I think it's better to let things out and resolve it together. I feel like that really strengthened our bond because after having an argument, we came to see each other's points of views and it just made us stronger. And I feel like it prepares you for your marriage because when you get married, it does change in a way that you have to deal with more adult things, but I feel like our relationship got stronger after we got married. I don't think you have to be scared of that. But what really matters is how we resolve conflicts together. If you are able to resolve them well in your dating phase, then once you get married, it's going to be easier for you because there are going to be bigger hurdles. There are challenges thrown at you, whether you're looking for a house or maybe there's family drama. There's just going to be more challenges. And that takes a whole nother turn once you have children. I'm not making this video to say, oh, I wish I didn't have kids or something. Ace is honestly, he changed my life in such a positive way. I wake up every day with purpose. I feel so much happier and more fulfilled. It is hard, but he's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love him to death, and he's just so playful and the best kid in the world. Very excited for a second baby and see them play together. The first moment I noticed the shift in a relationship is definitely in the beginning. Maybe the first 2 months, you really can't think about anything else. You're focused on keeping the baby alive, feeding them every 2 hours, learning how to change diapers, how to bathe them, and it's just a huge learning, just learning everything from scratch. And of course, there's videos now, so that it is a bit easier, but really putting into practice can be difficult, and you're getting like zero sleep. So you're not too worried about anything else at that point. But there is a point where you start to miss your old life, not in a regretful way, for me anyways, but I did miss going to the movies. John and I, we had a monthly Cineplex membership, so we would go to movies every month, sometimes 2 or 3 times a month. So those were our dates. We would go out, watch a movie, have dinner, go to the malls, maybe walk around the park. But it's winter during this time. Yeah, we would definitely go on a lot of movie dates. Not being able to do that was difficult. We definitely had to try harder to have touch points. So we kind of show that we still care about each other. Well, obviously we do, but focus is definitely on the baby. And not getting out of the house is hard too, because research shows with depression, like staying in the house makes it worse. You feel enclosed and you start to think about all the problems you have. And when you go outside, you realize, hey, like your problems are pretty small and the world's a big place. Yeah, birds are still chirping, the sun is out, everything's okay. But when you're stuck in an enclosed space indoors for so long, it really does take a toll on your mental health. And yeah, so I did feel like we were losing part of us where we would go out a lot, as couples do on dates. We had to change our idea of what dates look like. Maybe they're at home now. We can get movies at home because there's streaming services and all this. So instead of going out with Cineplex, which we do miss, I started with bad tummy aches and we started having constipation and just scream. So it was very difficult for us to go anywhere. And yeah, it's where our energy and focus was on. At night, waking up every 2 hours is brutal. We didn't know how to manage it at first. It really plays on your mental health and energy levels, and I get cranky if I don't get enough sleep, so I was extra cranky. And I was also dealing with postpartum depression for sure, at least for a couple months, and especially in that first month. It was just so hard for me. I did not feel like myself at all. And honestly, nothing can prepare you for having your first child. Yes, you can read all the books in the world, watch YouTube videos, and read about it, and people will tell you about having children, but once you experience it for yourself for the first time, that's when you truly know what it's like. People without children, I'm sorry, but you just can't understand to the full extent what it's like. But it's just very different. Honestly, you don't know what to expect the first time around. Every baby's different, they have different needs. Obviously, they have the basics that you need to keep them alive, but every baby has different needs. Research from the University of California shows that new parents lose an average of 109 minutes per night of sleep. And of course, sleep deprivation affects the prefrontal cortex, and that area helps you regulate emotionally as well as your patient level. And it definitely makes couples more irritable and less equipped to handle any conflicts that come up. Journal Personality and Social Psychology show that 67% of couples reported that they had just a decrease in relationship satisfaction within the first 3 years of having a baby. And there's some studies out there that followed couples for 8 years after having a baby. It showed that it didn't matter how strong your foundation was previously, it's just a universal experience. The Batman Institute shows that even couples who intend to split equally set expectations like, oh, yes, you have to help me change, help bathe them. Basically, anything that I do, I'm going to need your help in. So John understood that, and he is honestly a really good father. It took so much learning from the both of us because it was a huge learning curve, and we definitely have our routines now. Like, I can trust John. I can walk out of the house right now, and John would be able to take care of Ace fully. I can trust John with the baby. And a lot of women and partners cannot say the same thing, and it's very unfortunate. But anyways, even with the intent of splitting childcare and house, like caring for your house equally, studies show that 65% of childcare and household labor falls on women. And this creates an imbalance in what scientists call invisible labor, where resentment can build up because you feel like your partner is not doing enough. Often, the partner could feel unseen and undervalued. And when you have kids, you can have what is called loss of couple identity. Studies show that 70% of couples who are new parents can lose an average of 70% of their positive interactions that they had before. Relationship obviously shifts from being partner focused to focused. And many couples struggle keeping the romance alive and really keeping the identity of that you guys are, like, even though you guys are married, like, you guys are still dating, you still have to you still have to each other, so that can be very difficult. Another thing that affects your relationship is breastfeeding and postpartum. Even if you don't have postpartum depression, it's still painful. I gave birth vaginally, so I don't know I heard it can be painful going to the washroom the first week, and obviously recovering from stitches, your hormones are all out of whack. But recovering from a C-section is also really painful. That's what I've experienced. The giving birth part is not as difficult when you have a C-section because you're being numbed and then cut open. The recovery is really painful. The healing process for the wound is not fun. So that can definitely affect your mood as long as postpartum depression. And some women even experience during breastfeeding, this for me was specifically pumping, dysphoric milk ejection reflex. So it's when the letdown of the milk comes out and you just feel sad and icky and like irritated. And yeah, this can really affect your mental health and affect your identity as well because you go from being a person to like a milk pump. This is our second child. I still want to breastfeed. So like you have to pump to keep your supply up, so I still do plan on doing that. I just hope this time around, because of my first experience, I'll be better equipped to cope with these kinds of experiences. But yeah, after the first 2 months, it was getting close to Valentine's Day. This is just my personal experience. I was like, okay, I have to do something because it's driving me crazy. And I just felt very sad and depressed at the time. I was like, okay, we have to have some kind of date. I'm really glad we did that and I sat down and talked to each other because it can be difficult when you're hyper focused on caring for your baby. When having a baby, you have to really plan date nights, look ahead of time, and make sure everyone's on the same page. Yeah. Another challenge is when you guys are trying to get sleep, you guys are taking shifts, basically. So become the co-parents. I seen this TikTok where that's how they explained it. And I was like, yeah, it's true. And you can be like ships passing in the night. So if you take one shift, let's say your husband takes the night shift, for example, which John is planning on doing this time because he can't wake up every 2 hours. Like I'll take most of the day shift. So we're gonna have to figure it all out. But you really are just passing through the night, and there's not a lot of time where you guys can just sit down and have a conversation. Communication can get a little awkward, and you just have to figure it out. Of course, it helps if you have help. Luckily, our moms became 1 week after another, so we had 2 weeks where we had them. That was super helpful because it would help with food. I'm obviously still recovering from a C-section and doing the same thing. Now that we have a babysitter, we'll see. Pay definitely gets cut once we go on maternity leave. It might be worth just to have for when we desperately need it, because I am scared. I don't know how we're going to handle it, but I'm also very excited, of course. But yeah, back to the role distribution, learning curve. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the Thoughtful Advocate YouTube channel, my podcast, and give this a thumbs up for more videos like this. Of course, drop a comment below and follow me on Instagram at Thoughtful Advocate. Thanks for listening and watching. Okay, so today's sponsor is Kind Laundry. Just kidding, they're not really a sponsor, but I do have an affiliate code. Kind Laundry use natural ingredients and it actually comes in these sheets. So much more useful than liquid laundry detergent because that stuff gets messy. With Kind Laundry, you can bring this anywhere. It's literally in a box, pack in your suitcase, and it's that easy. You can get 10% off by using code ZeroWasteCute.